let's take a look. And the last 3 hours of those 2 days, I had removed the rumé and put it between the two plexiglass, right? So you get this very nice and smooth finish to the cast. The color of the finish looks very similar to the interior. Very similar, just eyeing it without measuring anything yet. Looks nice and stable. And the other side here, I would say, is very similar also, right? Very similar to the back of the cover here, right? Does it blend well? Well, we'll know once we cut it. We'll see probably we get probably a better idea. We also need to measure the lab values for finished product, right? Lab values for the furnish and leaf cast set furnish, and the again, we're going to do the back of the back cover and the inside of the back cover. We're going to take averages of these two. So looks good in my opinion. I think we did achieve what we needed, and the leaf cast itself is quite flexible, thin. If I were to measure it now, it will measure probably the same as the rest of the book. Let's try that. So here's a caliper. This side here measures 0.11, and the cast measures 0.16. So it's within the range, right? And this here measures 0.17. And here it measures what? Down here, 0.15 or 0.16. And here it measures 0.22. That's because there is the cover on top of having the leaf cast in here, right? So this area is a bit thick, but that's all right, right? This area should be more representative, like my 0.11 or so. It is 0.11. Right? You turn it off and back on again once it blinks. I don't like it that way. So as long as it is within, 0.7 millimeter, 0.07 millimeters, I'm okay, I'm happy, right? And it is actually, and this is going to be foldable, no problem. And I don't see any breaks in the cast at all. So pressing it for a long time helps a lot, guys. Very high pressure. I used no methyl cellulose on this. Methyl cellulose was in the furnish itself, but I didn't brush anything with methyl cellulose, and it's holding very, very well. A little break here, I can see it already. A little break, and this I can just use a little bit of nori paste and just glue it back. Otherwise, nothing really major here. Yeah. So I really like it. So next I'm going to measure the lab values for the furnish and for the interior. All right, so I took the average of the lab values for the back cover and the front, and I got 77.3 and 16. And the furnish color, I got an average of 82 and 13. Delta E value was 4, which means the color match is acceptable, right? It would have been better if it's about 2 or 3, but I'm getting 4, right? And I got 4 for the interior on its own. I got like 3.85 on the interior, and I got 4.05 on the exterior, right? So definitely a match, and the experiment definitely works. So you can eye it, or you can do it in a scientific way, which is the use of computer-assisted color matching using Photoshop. And you know, you have options basically, right? You have options. All right, so let's trim it and assemble the book. You can see the casting on the edge isn't very thick, right? It's just barely like 5 grams, like Tengujo almost, right? So I have 4 period staples from 1953 that I derusted in evaporust, and I think I'm going to go with these 2. So I can see the staple holes here. This is going to be the top staple, and the bottom staple is going to be here, right? So we have the center fold that will guide us to punch the holes for the staples. So one is going to be here. I have the book aligned exactly how I want it, right? And so one's going to be here, like this. We'll do 2 passes. We'll do 1 pass this way through the book, right? And the other one here. And again, we'll do 2 passes through the book. Make sure it's aligned. Do it this way. It's going to be very intricate. This way. So we got them here. Can go through them again. This way and this way. All right, out of the press, let's take a look and see. So very pleased with the way it turned out, right? You can see the rounding of the spine was pretty good. Let's see. If you notice, I'm not sure if anybody noticed, but there was a small piece of EC Comics that I had in here that completed the circle, the logo, right? And I don't see it anymore, so it must have fallen off when I was doing the leaf casting. That's my only conclusion. I was trying to find it, and I tried and tried and tried, and I couldn't find it. I'm not sure where it is, attached to some reme or on the floor somewhere, who the hell knows. So I lost the piece that completed the logo of the EC comic, right? All right, so that's one thing, but overall it's a very cohesive book, and the front came out great. The back came out excellent. In my opinion, it's very, very close leaf casting color to the original. And the spine nice and round. Staples are in good place there. This got a press already. So let's go through the book. And again, you can see the leaf casting here on this page. And you can see the leaf casting on the first wrap on the interior, right? These corners are all leaf casted. And the spines were all leaf casted as well, right? So this is what you end up seeing, right? But overall, it's a solid book. The pages are subtle. It's readable. It's handleable. You can handle it. The interior pages are very pliable because of the use of betaine and glycerol. The stories now are enjoyable. It's now collectible, right? Everything is there. And every wrap of the interior was leaf casted. Just the disappointment with the color match, right? That led me eventually to discovering Don Farnsworth's work on combining fibers for better finish color. That matched eventually with the back cover, right? And by the way, speaking of Don's, I want to thank Don Carter for being there, for getting very similar match results. It is, after all, what these kind of projects require: reproducibility and reproducible results, right? So the cover was leaf casted, and you can see the leaf casting, or you can't probably see the leaf casting on the edges here because it really is the same color as the interior. I mean, this really is such a close match. I can't believe I can't see it myself, right? You can see it here, certainly over the black, but you can't see it here. Or the edges, you can hardly notice it, right? So the back cover is very decent, right? It looks like very decent. Like first look, you can't even notice the missing pieces until you look and look and look, right? So now we have a complete book, and we can place it in its bag. And we can read it, we can enjoy it. You can choose to send it to CGC or not, it's up to you, but the book now is preserved for future generations to enjoy. Before it was very brittle, now you can handle it at least, and you can read it. You couldn't read it before, it was falling apart. This is probably one of the most difficult projects I did, spent some 30 plus hours doing this book, right? So it takes time to do these things, guys. If you want to be careful with your work, you have to take your time doing the work. And much of this work couldn't have been done without your support and your input into the field that I enjoy listening to as well. Everybody has been tremendous, commenting and giving their input on my videos. So thank you very much, everybody. All right. And one last observation, right, about the accuracy of that affect the color matching, right? The first one is the proportions, right? The ratio of each color used affect the outcome. And here, the precise weighing of fibers was important. The scale I used wasn't great, in my opinion, but it did the job. And I think I'm shopping now for a better scale that can weigh in milligrams, essentially, so I can use it in more precise manner. Second factor is the use of retention aid or retention agents, since some of the colors used to dye the fibers in the various papers I'm using here, the fibers I'm using here, may be soluble in water. So the use of retention agent will drive the colors back to the fiber, and you don't lose colors as a result in the aqueous portion of the furnish. And then the paper that you are matching might be heterogeneous. So we saw like the back cover had some areas that read slightly different than other areas. And having these varying degrees of the color shades you're aiming at due to aging or dirt or handling can affect the outcome of your colors, right? Then the factor of that you're using aqueous solution all the time, even towards the end, last stage of doing leaf casting, the paper is in water essentially, and you have further lightening of the paper, and that's going to account for some of the differences as well. Other factors include the number and variety of fibers and swatches and selection of these fibers they use. The higher the number of various fibers used, the better selection of the colors. Wrong lab data due to misuse of the colorimeter. If you don't use this color muse well, you're likely, like once instead of doing several different samples, you might get the wrong data at the end. If you don't calibrate this well, you're going to get the wrong data at the end. So not getting enough lab averages for all the swatches and target color is maybe a factor here also. Not doing a patch sample prior to commencing the work might be a factor, just to make sure everything is going to fit, right? And doing that delta E calculations that will put you in the 0 to 3. 0 to 3 would be excellent, but 4 to 6 is also acceptable, right? So I got like 4 in my on this book. Proper use of Photoshop. If you don't use Photoshop according to the guide I showed that was described by Don Farnsworth in his Determinate Paper Making, then you are missing also on doing appropriate justice to your mix. Then, speaking of Photoshop, when we use the 10 by 10 pixelated image, it is a convenient way of getting these percentages of the fibers that go into the blend. If you use 100 by 100 pixelated image, you might increase the selection of additional fibers and hence the accuracy of the color match. So 10 by 10 is convenient, 100 by 100 is pain in the butt because now you're dealing with 10,000 little pixels that you have to figure out the color combination, but it may be worth it. Or if you don't want to do 100 by 100, do 20 by 20, right? The more pixels you increase, the more likely you're going to get better color selections for your color mix at the end. So that's about it for this book, and it's now safe in its sleeve It might go to CGC, it might not go to CGC. I have to figure it out. And we'll see you guys soon. Take care.